All right, we're back. Aaron, what's one thing that you learned in Sweden?
One thing I learned in Sweden was one thing I really enjoyed observing was when you asked Andreas, what's one thing you look for in a leader, and he said, I look for someone who can listen and can be told that I can tell what to do. Right,
and he didn't even hesitate. I said,
he didn't
what's the number one characteristic you look for? And he said that they can be told.
Yeah, and that's I think one that goes against everything people that are young enjoy. Yeah. But I think it's something that's so necessary, especially when you're doing church at massive vision in a large platform, and you go, okay, when people are constantly questioning you, why this, why that, it kind of defeats the purpose of leadership. Mm-hmm. You're in and you're going to trust them. You know what I mean? And there's going to be failures. There's going to be, I always find it interesting when people expect you to have a perfect run. I'm like, no, I'm going to fail. You're going to fail. Mm-hmm. And then, but when you fail, it's my fault. But when I fail, it's my fault too.
Well, I think that the idea that what they look for is someone who can be told, it's really dealing with the issue of teachability. You're looking for someone who's teachable. You're looking for someone who's pliable, adaptable, whose spirit is tender and willing to learn new things. Right. Because when a person is unwilling to learn, then they're incapable of growing. If you're not willing, to learn, right, you're not going to be able to grow.
So if you're young and you want to lead, and even if you just want to learn, or if you just want to be on a team, if they tell you to do something, listen.
Do it.
Do it.
Yeah, and don't just do it when you agree.
Yeah, do it when it's hard.
Yeah, do it when you disagree.
Yeah.
And because I think one of the great challenges in life is to learn how to be under authority. So I think about the centurion that went to Jesus when Jesus seemed to be moving in his direction. He said, hey, you don't need to come to my house. Yeah. I'm a man of authority. I have people under my authority. I'm under authority. Just speak it and it'll happen. I think that the people who grow the fastest are the ones who have a posture. There's someone I can learn from, and I'm going to trust them. And
I kind of think of it like when your computer is processing and it has the little spinning thing and it's just taking forever and it's not loading. I think that sometimes that's how we can posture ourselves when we don't agree with our leadership. We just slow down the process so much to where it makes it so impossible for people to actually get stuff done. But then they don't realize that they're actually slowing down the whole process and the whole movement. Do you know what I mean? And I just go if you don't like it, don't be under the person. Don't take a paycheck. Don't be the volunteer. But also till you've ever had to ask someone else something that's hard. You know what I mean? I always tell leaders, I'm like, it's easy to lead when things are fun and we're growing and it's hard. And then it's harder to lead when you mess up. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And then it's even harder to leave when someone else leaves the church because of you. I said, if they're always leaving because of me, it's not that hard for you. When people start getting mad at you for things and you actually have to deal with it and have the conversations and X, Y, Z, that's when you're really leading at a high level, I think. And I always just think it's interesting that when you posture yourself to learn and to listen, and I have trouble with it. You tell me things to do, and I question 99 questions. And
all right, so you're a pretty stubborn guy.
Yeah, I'm pretty stubborn.
You're very opinionated.
A lot of opinions.
All right, so what are some things that you've had to work on internally to go, okay, I need to learn how to be told?
What do you mean? Like
if someone was like you.
I think you have something in mind. No, you just come out and say. If someone's like me, I think there's always time. There's always a place and a time and place for everything. There's a time for brainstorming. You know what I mean? And so if you're not in that room for the brainstorming session, be okay with it. I think the people who are more who say yes and go, okay, I'll get it done, they're the people you're more likely to invite into that room.
Bam.
Right?
That's exactly right.
Yes, I got it right.
That's exactly right. I look for the person who takes on the project that they did not have a say in. Yeah. And that's the person that's going to have a say in the next project.
Yeah.
That's so good.
I think so many times we can get into it's the Council of Nicaea, or the UN summit about where are we going to move the stage monitors, and it's okay, at the end of the day, we all want to get the same thing done. We want it to be great, so let's just go with one way, and if it doesn't work, we'll go with another way.
Okay, we're leaving Sweden.
Leaving Sweden, going to Copenhagen.
So Aaron McManus.
No, I'm going to ask you this question.
No. What's no? This was an important one for you to answer, I think.
Okay.
When we were talking to Pastor Thomas, we asked him what was the key when you began a church from scratch that now 5 years later is the largest church in Denmark. What did you look for in your leaders?
He said we had 50 people at the first meeting that he did. He said I picked the 10 people who smiled at me. And I said, you're the nicest people in the room. You're going to be our Connect group leaders. And then he had to go on a trip. And when he came back, they were like doing Connect groups, and he said, it's easy. Just play it, play a video, ask some questions, eat a meal, see you next week.
So you're looking for the friendliest people.
Looking for the friendliest people. You're looking for people who smile, for the people who want to be around people. And that's who you build your church around, right?
Well, it's so funny because they were all new, so they didn't even have like maybe a common theology.
Yeah.
They didn't have maybe spiritual maturity. They didn't know the culture, but they were kind.
Yeah.
And kindness is sticky.
Yeah, kindness is sticky.
And so if you're going to combine those two things together, look for people who are teachable and look for people who are kind. If you find those two things, you might have something really, really powerful.
Yeah, it's so good.
Mosaic Venice.
Mosaic Venice.
You guys have done an amazing job. In 6 months?
It's been 6 months.
You guys just broke 400 in attendance on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
And that's
421.
That's 421. All right. It's a pretty incredible growth in 6 months.
It's been good.
And you have people who are incredibly teachable.
Yeah.
And you have people who are incredibly kind.
Yes.
And they began to build those teams, and they've been able to grow that culture.
Yeah. I mean, it started with Connect. We call them crews, but essentially Connect group or, small groups, life groups. It started with one crew night, which was like broke into like 10 little small groups. And then basically a kid from Venice gave his life to Jesus, and then I said, I talked with you and said, that's not really Connect group or crew, that's actually church. And I said, can't we do worship too? And you're like, actually, once we do crews in seasons. Once that season's done, why don't we start a church? And it went from there. And then it's been, we outgrew our venue and then went to a new venue in Santa Monica. And then we've kind of been going back and forth. And last week we're at our previous venue in Venice, and then it just kind of blew up. And it's just been, and it's interesting too, because you always tell me like, there's those Wednesdays where you just like everything doesn't go, like everything goes wrong, but then like, and I'm like, I don't want to do church ever again. Like, what is life? But no, that's been, I have a killer team, and there's been huge leadership changes. Like, I've had 2 co-leads who, have gone to like move on to other things, and yet my team doesn't blink. Like, hey, is everything good? Great. What's the next thing? And I was even giving calls like last night going, well, how can we take on more? And it's been really cool because I haven't even had to, and there's no one who's paid to be there. I'm not even paid to be there. I do other things. And it's just been really cool to see like a volunteer culture who don't act like volunteers. They act like, and it's just really like they're coming back to me going, I grew this team. I don't need to be there anymore. I set up a leader. I'm like, could you even do that? Great. That's amazing. So it's just been really cool to see how much God's like, just, blessed it. But then, we've worked really hard for it. It's been really fun. And thank you for letting us have the opportunity, because obviously.
So good. Well, we talked about Sweden, what we learned there. We talked about Denmark, and I wanted to transition to Mosaic Venice because all over the world, people have been asking me about Mosaic Venice.
Yeah.
So if you were going to say to someone who's going to start a church in Beirut, or start a church in London, or start a church in Cape Town, or wherever it may be.
Well, if they're going to start a church in Cape Town, I would say just join Phil Dooley.
That's true.
And then if you're in London, I would just say join Gary Clark, because he is the Godfather.
Yeah. Maybe I didn't pick the right cities.
Yeah, but if you're gonna like plant a church in like Tulsa,
I don't
Oklahoma,
know. Pick a spot, Aaron. If someone was going to do something from scratch, and they said, Aaron, what is like one of the principles that you feel like has really helped in Mosaic Venice? What would it be?
Yeah, I think we built something different. And that was the whole idea, was for it to obviously to feel like Mosaic and to be Mosaic in its essence, but to be something that was different than my leadership style. I was dealing with a bunch of people, and it was kind of an accident. So it was like no one knew what we were doing. I think the first meeting we even ever had, everyone showed up late, and that we had to like address that before it even got started. And so there was just like, we had so many, like no one, we were solving problems the first night, and I'm freaking out, they're freaking out. Like no, there was no calm in this storm. and I think a lot of it was just like, wait, if you had told me in month 2 when things actually got real, because month 1 it was just exciting and like people were showing up, and then month 2 it was like, okay, who's really coming? you know. I looking 6 months down the line, and I go, I don't even think we've really succeeded. I think we've had wins, you know what I mean? But building a culture that, one, reflects your leadership first and foremost. If we don't reflect you and what you're doing in the core of the church, then we've lost. So we've always asked ourselves, did it feel like church? Did it feel like home? And then we're always talking about being a part of the heart of the church, but also being unique, you know. So we'll use a little bit different, you know, we use come as you are. And I think it's awesome. And we also use the themes that the whole church used. So it's like we have a little bit of uniqueness and a little bit of unity. We always say like unity and uniqueness, you know?
That's good. Yeah, it's really good. I love that.
Yeah, cool.